Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies. Time to talk a little high school basketball. I'm Steve Sparky from 105.7 The Fan in Milwaukee. And, of course, Gary Wolfel down at the other end of the table from the Racine Journal-Times. Joining us in studio is the head coach from the boys basketball team at Racine Horlick. Jason Treutelaar joins us. And, Coach, thanks for coming in. Undefeated in the Southeast Conference. I guess you would call it a little tournament coming up here at the end of the month. So a little bit of a break for you between what you've been doing and what you have coming up here. How do you utilize this time, this break with Christmas vacation and everything else for the kids?
Well, first of all, we got to get healthy. We got a handful of guys who are sick, a couple who are hurt, but we'll spend a lot of time doing some of the fundamental things that you don't get a chance to spend a lot of time doing during the basketball season. And so we'll be doing that, and we're putting some new things in and getting ourselves ready for some tough games. Obviously, we've got that tournament out at Brookfield Central where we're going to match up with Greendale in the first game, and that's going to be a tough one, and they were at the state tournament last year. And then we also have Park and Case coming up on the schedule right away once we turn the calendar. So we've got a lot of things to get ready for.
Now, this may be a difficult question for you to answer, but to me, the Southeast Conference in basketball is all about Racine, more so than it is probably about Kenosha, Franklin, or Oak Creek. Not that they don't have competitive programs, but it tends to be about these three Racine schools in the Southeast Conference.
Yeah, the three Racine schools tend to find a way up to the top at the end of the season. Yeah. But we've got some other teams, like you mentioned, Oak Creek, which gave us a tough game last week, and they're definitely improved. They've got one of the top ball players in the conference in Harrison.
Do they think it's like a minute and a half clock, shot clock?
Well, at times they do, yes. There have been times where they've used over 2 minutes, and it drives you nuts.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
But they use that to their advantage, and they can be a tough out. And Indian Trail is another team, too, that I think is surprising a few people here as well. They've got some good athletes.
You know, you were asking Jason what he's going to do in the next couple weeks. I was told that you're having all your players come over to your house, get familiar with your neighborhood, show them where the snowplow is, where the shovels are, and they come over and take care of your yard.
They've been over once already, okay? There was no snow, and I know they're not going to be plowing anything for me.
I know you pay them well. What, you give them, hot chocolate and whatever else.
I'll give them a hot chocolate, and that's about it.
There you go. So, you're off to a terrific start. 3-0, and the one thing I noticed is you can score points in droves. I mean, you've had, what, an 80-point game, if I'm not mistaken, already, a 77-point game, and looks like offense isn't going to be too much of an issue for you.
Well, no. We have the ability to put the ball in the hoop with these guys. Defensively, we found ourselves in foul trouble in all three games, and we need to shore that up. But you take a look at box scores in general throughout the area, the state, and I'll be honest with you, there have been a couple minor revisions to the rules, so to speak, and it's coming into play. You're seeing a lot of teams getting into foul trouble and a lot more free throws being shot early in the season.
What's changed?
The hand checking is now a point of emphasis. The arm bar is now an automatic foul. You put two hands on a guy, it's an immediate foul.
So it's like the NBA, they want more offense.
They do. They want you to clean it up, especially in the post. And I don't blame them for doing it, but it's something that it takes a while to get used to. Now, all of a sudden, once we get into games with Park and Case, if it's a bloodbath like it usually is, we'll see how that's called.
Well, so you're kind of ambivalent about this whole change. I mean, you aren't really opposed to it or favor of it? Or?
No, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And you just have to adjust. Nobody cares what my opinion is.
We do. That's why you're here, man.
You guys better care, but
I've had a couple coaches already tell me that they don't like it at all. That the officials are almost going to an extreme now. As soon as they see anybody close to a guy, they're calling it. That they're overreacting to the call.
I would agree with that. I've seen some other games that we're not playing in, but just watching as an observer, and I've seen some of that where it seems like there's been very tight games called, and it's something we're going to have to get used to.
Well, from that perspective then, from a coaching perspective, then you really emphasize moving your feet more and being quicker from that aspect.
You have to. Yep, you have to use your feet. You talk about that every year, but now it really becomes an issue.
No question about it. Talk about this whole basketball team. I mean, if you look at the box score, you see the same one or two guys that are leading you probably for the most part each and every game. How are those role players filling in around them?
They're doing really well. We've got a couple role players. Davin Laws has been doing a nice job for us. Keelan Johnson came back from an injury he had 2 years ago, and he's doing a nice
He's playing
job.
really well for you.
Yeah,
I noticed, I mean, not only from a scoring standpoint, but from a rebound standpoint too, right?
Correct. Yep, he's really doing a nice job for us. And we've got a few others. Quan Jackson is back with us now, and he can come in off the bench. Lamonte Lewis is one of the better shooters in the conference. When that kid gets it going, he can knock it down from 24, 25 feet.
What's the chemistry like with all these guys?
It's pretty good right now.
Is it?
You know, it really is. They get along exactly. You know, now as we get going through,
This is plastic, Jason.
right. You know, we'll see how that continues. But I think we've got a really good mix of guys, much better than what we had last year.
What about it in high school? I guess I've never really had this conversation with a high school coach, but you hear about it all the time in the NBA. Gary Wolf every year, the Bucks locker room's a disaster again, guys. This guy wants to hit this guy doesn't like this guy. There's always stuff going on. What about in high school? How does that chemistry work? Because I would have to imagine with the drama that goes along with kids being on Facebook and girlfriends and everything else, it might be even more of a touchy situation as far as trying to maintain chemistry in high school sports than probably it is even at the pro level.
Yeah, it is tougher at times. It's all about playing time to a lot of kids, and you have to find ways to squeeze people on the floor for 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there. You try to get as many guys in as you can. It is tough. And some years, no matter what you do, you can't get that chemistry. In other years, guys just love each other and it works out.
Wow.
I wanted to ask you about Deontay Woods, arguably the best player in the county. How has he progressed, and what's your take on him at this point?
Well, defensively is where he's improved his game the most. He has really become a great defender, whereas last year he struggled with that. You know, he has really worked hard. He's committed himself. He's become a leader out there. He talks. Offensively, his game has expanded. He's able to knock it down from the outside at a higher clip this year, and his ability to take it to the hole was always strong, but he's grown about 2 inches since last year too.
Okay, what is he up to, about 6'2"? Or
6'2" at least, almost pushing 6'3".
Really?
Yeah, and he's long.
Wow.
So he's going to put himself in a good position come the end of this year, and hopefully he gets an opportunity to go somewhere and do something, because I know he's working on his academics and he's done a very good job in the classroom too.
Right, exactly. And I know UW-Milwaukee has had an interest in him. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, they offered him a scholarship already.
Correct.
So it just kind of tells you the caliber of player he is if you're getting D1 offers.
Yeah.
We always hear about in football the weight room aspect of things and how important that weight room is in football. When you're talking about high school basketball players trying to get to D1 basketball, how critical is the weight room for them as they're going through high school?
Very, very critical nowadays. And D. Woods and a few others committed themselves in the off season to get in that weight room. And they were there after school. They were there in the summer. He's really put in a lot of effort to get himself to a position where he can compete at that level. But the weight room is, really it's something that people didn't talk about 20 years ago when it comes to these kids. And now they have to have it.
That's really impressive, though. I mean, you kind of blew me away about his defense, because becoming a great defense player, because most high school players, I mean, as a coach, you can say, hey, play defense, work on your defense.
Right.
Goes in one ear and out the other. It's all about, scoring points and being the show. That's really impressive for a player of his caliber to, bear down on his defense.
I think so. He's become a very good leader too, and he does it by example. He's not just trying to talk it. He does it. He shows guys, and he's really improved his game all around.
I got one more question for you. This is not related to Horlick basketball. It's related to state rankings.
Okay.
And you know where I'm going with this.
Yes, I do.
I pick up the Journal Times yesterday morning, and I see Division IV, and atop the standings is Whitefish Bay Dominican. No surprise, right? Hands down, maybe the best team in the state, right? All of a sudden I look down a little further, and there's Mineral Point. No big deal, except one thing, Steve. You know what? They got 2 first-place votes.
Well, and what's even more surprising when you break down those numbers is that I believe nine people voted, okay? And you would have a total of 90 points, because if you look next to the number in parentheses, it'll tell you how many points they have.
See, he even broke it down further, yeah.
Dominican has 82 and Mineral Point has 80. So people aren't even, somebody is not voting for them
Come on, guys. Let's
And
do your
that, to
job
me,
here.
makes a farce of the whole rankings, because Mineral Point is only 2 points away from actually getting, even though Dominican has 7 first-place votes as opposed to 2,
right.
They're 2 points away from being the #1 team in Division 4. And that, to me, no disrespect to Dan Burleson and Mineral Point, but come on now. I mean, really, that makes a joke out of the rankings.
It does, and I think these guys should be called out for it. I mean, come on.
They should.
You know, I agree. Mineral Point's probably got a great Division 4 team. But Dominican, by the end of the season, could be one of the best teams ever in the state of Wisconsin, in my mind, if they come together. Now, whether they come together, I don't know. They are loaded.
If this team with Diamond Stone, if this new procedure that they're talking about putting in place for WIA, where you get so many points if you win a state title and so forth, who knows what division they'd be in? I bet you they'd be in maybe Division 2 by this point, Division 3, Division 3 for sure. Yeah. They could be up to Division 2. That's going to change the landscape of things. Now, again, you have Diamond Stone. You know, maybe a future NBA player. That guy doesn't come
absolutely
right, but that guy doesn't come along every year. I mean, just like for you. I mean, if you get the future Michael Jordan, whatever the case may be, and you're dominating guys for for 4 years, right? You like that?
I like it.
The future Shaq, whatever.
I love it.
For 4 years. Now, you can't go any higher necessarily, but these smaller schools, they can make their way up over the course of 4 years and then get absolutely annihilated for the next 4 years.
Here's the reward,
Right, that's kind of what it is. He is Gary Wolf, of course, Jason Treutelaar from Racine Horlick as well. Wish you congratulations and good luck the rest of the year.
And they'll be climbing up in the polls if they keep playing like this.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I hope our guys keep coming together, and we'll see how far we can go. And happy holidays to you guys, and good luck with your shopping.
Absolutely, thank you.
He needs all this. See you on Wednesday shopping, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, all right, we'll be out.
I don't understand how you wait that long. I see Sparky Piper from Sports Radio 105.7 The Fan in Milwaukee, host of the Wendy's Big Show weekdays from 2 to 6. We'll see you next time on Sports Junkies right here at RacineSportsZone.com.